So if you would, we're going to try using voice. If you don't want to use voice, you can just put your question in chat. And if you want to address that question to a specific speaker, any of our four speakers, then please do that. If you want to use your voice, let's try using voice if you're comfortable with that, and just yield the floor if two people are trying to talk at once. So I know that there was someone that said they had a question in chat, so I don't see any questions coming over. Who has a question? Go ahead.
The person who has the question can open their mic. I don't know if there's a raise hand. I don't know anything about the thing. I don't know. You don't need to raise hand. Maybe there's a raise hand.
Go ahead, Charlotte. Go ahead, Charlotte. And you need to open your mic, Charlotte.
Sorry.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Maggie. Just to introduce myself to all of you, I've worked with Maggie for many years. We first met making a film in Ethiopia about being raped into marriage that changed the law in Ethiopia in the end. And then I was lucky enough to have some films I'd made chosen for Maggie's Film Festival in Addis, Images That Matter. And Maggie, you actually, do you remember you reunited me with Waris Deary? And we then sat on a panel about female genital mutilation together. And that brings me, I was very, very interested in what Alexander Laszlo says, because I've made 8 films about female genital mutilation. And one of the most powerful ones I made in Uganda, where actually the way they had stopped it in this village was by involving the male elders. And I agree that men should be involved in changing attitudes towards menstruation, but would really like to hear more about that from Alexander, how you think that will work on a practical level, because I think a lot of the embarrassment comes not from other women, but from other men. So it is absolutely crucial that men become involved in this. And it was a real delight to have you here, and well done, Maggie, for involving you. So I'd just love to hear, practically how you think that might work.
Thank you, Charlotte. So if Linda and Maggie are okay, I'll just take that up. Yeah. Okay, yes. Great. Thank you. And it's a huge question because we're dealing with embedded cultural practices. Just like there is institutionalized racism, which is something that is invisible to most people because it is part of our part of much of the way in which we have been brought up, socialized and acculturated. There is this, particularly in patriarchal societies, there is so much of a sense of what it means to be a man in the sense of the macho image. And in those contexts, this sacred feminine is not celebrated. How do we come back into this balanced relationship? This is a critical question, Charlotte. And if I had like the magic answer, I'm sure I would have the Nobel Prize and we'd have a different world. But this is what we all need to work on. It starts in our families. It starts with our conversations with our brothers, our conversations with our sons. It is truly a question of education, I believe. So this is why something like Andale, this initiative, is so important. The more that we can have this conversation, the more that things will begin to shift. And it means, I think critically, Charlotte, that we invite men into the conversation, not in a way that shames the men as well, right? Not in a way that says you are wrong, but in the way to say it's safe for you too to be in this conversation. Because I think fundamentally, there's a sense that the men feel threatened by the power of the menstrual cycle, by the power of being associated with the moon and with the rhythms of nature that men do not have. And so I think this is something that also involves a reaffirming of what it means to be human for both men and women. Thank you.
Alexander, thank you for that. And I want to, in my mind, I summed that up, and I wonder if each of us that are raising boys in our home, or even if maybe we have grandchildren, could at least consider having a talk with that male. I mean, we have to start. So we may have a plan of action in our head, but we have to start. So I'm not going to ask a commitment, show of hands, anything like that, but I just want you to think about, could you have that conversation with an appropriate age young male to help them understand the cycle so that they are now supportive? And let's begin that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
May I jump in there?
please do.
Thank you. I'm Litabella. I'm from South Africa and I live in Cape Town. I just want to also thank Alexander for all of his comments. I think they're completely on point. They're absolutely amazing. In my own experience as a young teenager growing up, neither my father nor my mother explained the cycle to me at all. And they were living in Europe at the time. We were living in the UK. So they were quite sort of, they're quite worldly. They had been everywhere, lived everywhere. But for some reason, this particular subject was off limits. And particularly with my father, I mean, to this day, I'm almost 60 now, and I couldn't have a conversation with him about my periods. But I have two young sons, and they're now 23 and 25. And I remember when they were much younger, I I would have lots of talks with them about their bodies and about female bodies as well, including the menstrual cycle. And there would be times, so much so that my son would even feel comfortable going into a store and picking up a packet of pads or tampons, whatever I needed for that time of the month for me. And I also felt very comfortable. I didn't feel uncomfortable in any way. So I took from my own experience of not having had that comfort to talk about the periods, even with my siblings who were both boys, older brothers, and my father. So I didn't have that comfort of talking to them about it, or even my mother for that matter. She just sort of bundled me off. She just gave me something the morning it happened and bundled me off to school. And I found out at school from my peers what it was actually all about. So I made sure that my children, even though they're not female and won't be having periods anytime soon, that they also understand what it's about, and they do, and they're not uncomfortable about talking about it. So yeah, that's just to share my experience.
Thank you for that. And we applaud your proactiveness in that area. That's fabulous. Thank you, guys. You all are doing a great job of keeping your comments or your questions brief, and we really appreciate that. Who else has a question or a comment?
I have two questions.
Go ahead.
The
Linda?
first one is for Seiko.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that was very, very great what Alexander was saying. And I'm a parenting coach, and it is an easy conversation at home because I think men don't have problem with that, but they don't from their parent, from my understanding. My husband parent never mentioned about it, and my mom doesn't mention as well. But because I'm been spent the last 20 years and how to, how to parenting my 5 children, I do change a lot because he don't have problem, but he wouldn't mention it simply because from his family, he wasn't learn about it. So I think it's very easy just at a family. I think start a family would be ideal because it just help family connected much closer, have a clear understanding, like a transparency. I do talk about different topic, like my boy know everything about, like pregnancy and all that, because he will have a family someday. And I do want him to be more helpful and like really understand everything, like what his capacity is. And so, yeah, period. No, that I think is great. I think it's great conversation. I will talk that tomorrow. and, and to me, that's good because when they know it, so everything in my family flow very well because everyone know where everything is and what's going on. And the boy was stronger, Joel, he's stronger, so he's willing to do more and yeah, explain like in terms of physical, the differences. So period, no, that I think it is wonderful. It's a conversation starting family because it's everyone have it for thousands of years. We go through it. It should be a struggle, but now we should be open enough to anything. And yeah, because that create a lot of connection and a lot of love in the family, and also the understanding, and also the uniteness of that of everyone. Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. Go ahead, Magic.
Yeah, I wanted to because I'm really this is like wonderful because this is exactly the intention, the idea that we can empower each other and empower the others, and that's why I wanted to bring Alexander in it, and because these conversations about women, I've noticed in the past, they only happen within women, and it shouldn't be that way. And that's why in the future we'll even have more men in the panel. And I wanted to give the floor to Senna because I know she's working on that both for girls and boys even before it happens. Because when I did this, some of you have already sent your pictures with your 2 sentences, but what came out, and everyone will see it on the 28th of May when we launch, but what came out is exactly that. A lot of men saying they felt disempowered by not being included in the conversation when they were a kid, with 4 sisters, knowing that they were excluded. So I think Dr. Sena, sorry, I'm saying your name wrong, Sneha.
Perfect, Sneha, yeah, it's difficult to get. Yeah, thank you for the question, and I really appreciate what you've been able to do, Mr. Alexander, and I also want to share with, celebrate you. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Letteber, I mean, who started the conversation. Yeah, thank you for doing that, and Kim too. I just want to quickly share 2 approaches that we have taken as an organization, because my brother and I didn't talk about it. When we used to, like in our house, when I growing up, when you're menstruating, you're not allowed to go to the kitchen. So that meant less work for me. But that meant more work for my brother. So he had to go get water for everybody. And he was upset clearly, like, why does she not get to go to the kitchen? And my mother told him that because crow pecked her on the head, she didn't explain the menstrual process. And I didn't think that, I never questioned why she didn't explain. But once I started doing the work, we have a yearly fellowship where for teens, and we also have for adults. And both of them have to, over 13 weeks, they meet different facilitators, and finally they create a project. So we found out that doing through art and play has been easy. So one, our fellowship is open to people of all gender. Second thing, what we did is, in fact, it's happening again on May 28th, and all of you are welcome. We have a zine making workshop. So it is a simple 5-page zine, and we are posing questions like, okay, what is your first memory of menstruation, yours or somebody else? Please draw it on page 1. And same journaling prompts for each of the page, and they draw it. So people who are comfortable sharing, they share their images and also the story behind them. And people who are not, just stay back and listen. So even that space is there. So if you don't want to share, you don't share. And that the reflection process has already happened in the art making. So that tool we are using in schools. And if you would like to learn the tool, please come in and you can take it back to your community. Second thing which we have done is we've created a simple paper game like Snakes and Ladders, which is meant for father and daughters. Because this was a project taken up by our fellow. I said, okay, I felt a disconnection with my father as soon as I attained menstruation. Like, I loved my father, I was my father's daughter, and suppose just after I menstruated, he became as if I lost him. So that was her project, to design a game where you don't have to talk about it, but still by playing the game, you learn about menstruation and then slowly talk. So all this is copy left. So if you want any of these, please email and I'm happy to share them so that you can take it back to communities. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you so much. Anyone
I have a
else have,
question.
go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I have two. The first one is for Seiko. I currently live in Korea, and because Korea and Japan are so closely located, I'm wondering if she knows that both countries are like-minded in this situation.
So Ari, did you get that to translate to Seiko?
Okay. Can you sorry, can you
Yes.
say that again one more time?
Okay. I currently live in Korea, and because Korea and Japan are so closely located, I'm wondering if both countries are like-minded in the situation of menstruation, their mentalities.
All right, we'll give them a minute to get the conversation and translate. So
And then my second one
translation.
is for whoever has the answer. I'm wondering, how do we empower without offending when no one is willing to have the conversation? Like,
Okay.
for example, I lived in Afghanistan and I was a part of a group that had to be very purposeful, very careful, very diligent about how we aided the women in the local community to support them by giving them pads and things like that. So is there a workaround to aid women without the support of their town leadership?
So thank you for that. Let's go to Ari. Ari, what do you have from Seiko?
Okay. I think Seiko thinks it's a bit different. Even it's crossed from Japan to Korea, but the cultures are very different because of ancient, like our ancestor in Japan wear a kimono. They used to, なんだっけ、セコちゃん。着物に、So she thinks she might it's the related the culture wearing kimono. なんだろう、着物だと、So kimono is made very focused on the center, in the like a very center. So,出た。難しいな。So they are because of the kimonos, so they like people like women is stand up and sit down. It's like this movement, like a behave movement, makes the what is that? 骨盤. What is なんだろう骨盤? Make the 骨盤つながってる？骨盤つな清美さんつながってますか？清美さんいる？
Yes, I'm here.
お願いします。ごめんなさい。お願いします。
Hello.
じゃあ、聖子ちゃん。
清美さん。
Yes.
Yes, 清美さん、骨盤英語でわかりますか？
Here it is.
All right, so I think that you might want to also have some more conversation, Vansel. We have Ari's email and we'll distribute that also, but if you want to take more of that. And so this, I think, is going to be the last.
I have an idea that maybe because Ari was having problems with some of the words to find in English, maybe we can give them a bit of time to between each other to find the answer, and meanwhile we can take Silvana's question and then come back to her in 2 minutes, so we keep it short and sweet.
Yes.
Thank you. It was more a comment than a question. I just wanted to share my experience in Italy and in India. In the last 6 years, I've been holding circles for men to explain to give cycle awareness, basically. And I've tried to reach the people that I know that would be interested. So I've been addressing people that are interested in social innovation, and especially in contexts, in specific contexts where I knew that the filter would be, they would be interested in this conversation. So, for example, in India, I did it in a space that is called the Learning Societies and Conference, where Indian men are already interested in creating new spaces, in facilitating conversation on this topic. So I knew that if I offered this kind of conversation, I would be received in a certain way, and the result was excellent. So my suggestion is to create spaces where men are already ready for it, and then they can become the bridge towards new conversation.
Wonderful.
Thank you
Wonderful.
so much, Silvana. I know there's two things that come out stronger from these conversations here. One is that, well, we need to empower ourselves as women and our girls, but to do that better, we absolutely need to include our men, because and boys, because it's a human rights issue and they are the fathers. And there's a sentence Dr. Sinha said that went straight to my heart. She was describing someone who talked of a story where she was very close to her father and the relationship was killed. When she had her menstruation, she felt the distance. And that goes straight to my heart. And that's exactly what we're here to do together. And I'm really happy for everyone that's sharing. I don't know if Eri, are you ready now for the answer of Seiko? Are you ready?
Can you hear me?
Oh, somebody else is going to share it. Okay, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes, we can. Tell me.
Hi.
Yes, go ahead.
The person who asked the question to Seiko is that there is a similarity between Korea and Japan. Is that right?
Yes.
So although the countries are very close to each other and they're called like Asian countries, but we are so different, but we respect each other. So in order to talk about menstruation, Seiko really doesn't know about the situation, but I'm sure that when you think about the Asian person in history, as the Japanese Asian women, like 16th century, they knew how to control the discharge blooding when they had period. Because the way they wear the kimono, which is our traditional clothes, they didn't wear underwear. So they had to know how to control it. As the Korean traditional, what you might call it?
Hanbok.
Aban. So their underwear might be the same situation. So they had to create something to hold on their blood system. So when we really study and research about it, they might have some similarity between Korean women and Japanese women. So it's very curious part of it.
Thank you.
Is that
That's
make
great.
sense?
Thank
Okay.
you. I wanted to add one topic.
Thank you, Kiyomi. Machi, we are towards the end of our time, so I'm going to ask you, I hate to stop all this great conversation, but I'm going to ask you to go ahead and wrap up so that we can let our audience get on to the rest of their day.
Yeah, I didn't even see the time pass. Thank you all. I mean, myself, I also had a lot of questions and sharing so we will conclude, but please know that this is a first of this platform, and we're going to continue it with Alexander and other people who are free to join. We already have Clarissa from Argentina who will be here for the next meeting. We'll do it both on Zoom and also in other places on virtually. I want to, for people who don't know, and maybe I see we have such an aware group of people here, and I applaud you all. For those who don't know, the 28th of May is International Menstruation Awareness Day. The UN term is Menstruation Hygiene Day, but I like to upgrade the terminology and call it Menstruation Awareness Day, because the awareness more before the product is the consciousness and the awareness that's important, as it's clear from the conversation we're having now. And just to touch a point on our friend from Korea, what I noticed with and at the same time, I'm going to say thank you for all the people who shared their 2 sentences on menstruation with their picture. And for those who don't know about it, you're free to still do so till the 25th. The mail is at the end of the registration, the Association Andalai at Gmail, and it's sending your 1 or 2 sentences on menstruation, personal or general, with your picture to just create awareness in the West for those the girls like Jacqueline who need it. And when I had already have people answer from all over the world, and I was quite surprised that the Asians were more reluctant. And I have my cousin in Thailand, and I thought they would have a lot. And she told me it's a no topic, that the mother doesn't even talk about it to her daughter. It's the mother-in-law that talks about it to her daughter. And that's all these cultural limiting beliefs that we need to dismantle. And also thank you to Seiko to remember that there was great ancient cultures that we need to remember as well. And I know it's also in the shamanic traditions. There's amazing, great ways that they dealt with it. And all this is conversation I would like to continue having with all of you. And as I said, on the 28th of May will be launched the virtual exhibition of the pictures and the sentences, and also the website of Andalai Empower. It will be, of course, sent to all of you who are here and who have sent their pictures. And for others, they can go on the internet and find it. And I ask all of you to support, be a member, give funds, do your knowledge, or just sharing. For me, and I will end with the wonderful energy that has been proven here, that I have a dream, and we are the dream. We are the ones who can make a difference. We can empower ourselves by empowering the other. And we're no longer in the world of blaming, the blame game, or the give and take, or predatory or competition. We can collaborate together to better human, as says my brother Alexander. And that's what Andalai Empower intends to do. The main aspect, as I said first, is to create platforms, to discuss, to empower, and get people like Seiko, that we can see how this can be done in my country, in other parts of the world, by first starting by creating our awareness as women, as men, and then going as far as the different capacities we can have from our menstruation. There's a lot of greatness, a lot of power to be learned by it, not only to reconcile it and to be able to deal with it with our body, like Seiko can do, but also there's people, a lot of speakers, people have told me all the greatness about it that we don't know. So that's why I'm here. And thank you for your support and for being here. And I look forward to seeing you all next time. And especially thank you for Linda and all the speakers and all of you who give of yourself and help to make a better world, because together we rock. And
all right.
Mashira, can I say something?
Yeah, we have to close in 2 minutes. Do you want to say it to everyone, or you want to send it to me? I just want to remind Clarissa. Oh yeah, Clarissa is the person who will be one of the next speakers.
Yes, I would like to talk about the person who has menstruation, not only men or women, you know?
Absolutely.
No binary.
Absolutely.
For the next topic.
That's what we're going to discuss with Clarissa on the next one, because she's been working on this for a long time, and there's many amazing people, and people don't know about them, and that's why we're here to bring them all together. So please, for people who are in Clubhouse, we want to organize one on the 28th, and people who are not, we can send you invites on the 28th of May, which is, and you can also join, be a moderator. And yeah, Clarissa and Professor Lanslow will be here for our next ones, and also we'll have other speakers. And of course, all of you who are here are welcome, because we just want to take this conversation deeper, and together we make the change. We are the change we want to see in the world. So
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. Goodbye. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Somebody has put the email for the speakers, or else you can email me or Linda. And somebody asked about Charlotte's film movies. the simplest is to just send it to one of us, and we can
Hi,
make it
yeah.
will happen together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
I love you all. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful, wonderful session.
Yes, that I could.
Bye,
That
Seiko and Ari. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank
You guys are wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel the love that was present and the empowerment and the commitment, and I believe we're all starting something together as one big blood family. So looking forward to
Absolutely.
seeing you next time, and please keep in touch.
Bye. So Maji, would you stay on for just a moment? I wanted to tell you a couple of things. The rest of you can go.
Shall
Bye.
we end the recording here? Or do we want to continue on the team, or shall we end
Yes.
the recording here? Because I want to make it a nice package saying